Welcome to another episode of the Writer's Game podcast, where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. Are you somebody that has trouble making tough choices? I mean, you have things going on, you're successful in a specific area, but you recognize that it's draining you. You recognize that it's taking you from your family, it's created an imbalance internally, and it's gotten you out of alignment. Well, tonight we're going to have somebody talking to you about this process of making tough choices. Somebody that has acquired and achieved a level of success that so few people have been able to achieve, but has strategies, has methodologies, and has a testimony to share on her process of making tough choices in the woman that she's been able to become today. Khalilah, how you doing?
I am good. How are you, Kyle?
I am absolutely amazing. Before we get started, I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions tonight, so I hope you're ready. Before we get started, I want to know who you are without any professional titles, and how are you leveraging your experience and your story to transform people's lives?
Without any professional titles, that's a good one. So, my name is Khalilah Sowell. I am a mom of four. And who am I? That's a great question. It's who I've become, like in this whole process. So, over the course of this whole experience, it's been kind of eye opening to somebody not new, but just tapped in. So.
I love that. Talk to us a little bit about what the journey of success and achievement represents in your life. And the reason that I asked that question first is because oftentimes I talk about the journey to become something, that process, that adventure, the things that you go through, the hurdles that you overcome. What you learn on the journey is much more important and much more impactful than who you become after the journey is already complete. What are some of the lessons, the strategies, the advice that you would give to someone that is just starting their journey in their process?
I would probably say have a vision, because even if you have to step out of sight, you still have that, that vision and that focus to the end game. So I think throughout this process, that's been what I've kind of stuck with, even though, some things have had to pivot with just life and, just running a business in general. So the vision doesn't change. It's still going to be an end game thing, but just the process to get there kind of shifted a little bit.
What have you learned about Khalilah during this journey? What has the journey taught you about yourself?
It's taught me that I'm way smarter than I thought I was.
Yeah.
Just being honest. It's also taught me that I'm much more resilient than I thought I was. Um, in times of adversity, you definitely kind of tap into who you are more or less. You become more focused. Um,
I love how you use the word adversity, um,
mhm.
because there's no success without sacrifice. There's no success without a sense of adversity that you're going to have to meet along the way.
Mhm.
Can you talk to us a little bit about some adversity that you've been met with, and how leveraging grit, work ethic, or even certain strategies that you've used along the way has helped you overcome those adversities and be able to learn from them through the process?
Got it. Well, some things I went from being a stay at home mom to running a successful business and being a divorced mom of four. So that's kind of crazy. Opening a restaurant in the middle of the pandemic. So it was a lot. It was definitely a lot that that took place in a short amount of time, and I felt like an octopus. So I had all these different legs that were going, but I was the head, so everything was attached to me, so I couldn't like fall over. And yeah, it was pretty interesting kind of situation.
When you
And
think of who you are today, what is the experience or the story that has shaped your beliefs and your values and who you are today?
um, I would say that I've always been the person today that I've always been, more focused and more kind of determined, and it never was there. So some people, they were like, I grew into this person, but you were already that person. You just tapped into it. And I think, throughout, different experiences allowed me to tap into it faster. I was always going to get here, you know, but I had to grow up a little bit faster, and I had to kind of, um, you know, accelerate.
It's interesting when we talk about acceleration and achievement and, this conversation around success. I think we miss and we drop the ball because we don't get a chance to really learn people in this process. You know, I'm sure people ask you a lot of tactical questions in regards to how to do this in business, how to start a restaurant, how to achieve these set of, standards and goals. But I'm more interested in the person. Um, what is a question that you wish more people asked you, and it would help you really feel that people see you and not the professional titles that you often wear?
Um, it's a question that I ask a lot of people, myself. How are you? I just want to know how you are. Because you just like, I'm seriously like, you're just going through the motion all the time, and nobody asks how you are because they just see you moving and they see you doing all these amazing things in their eyes, but nobody asks you literally, how are you? And generally, genuinely want to know.
Well, I genuinely want to know, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. The question that I want people to ask me is what I ask them. How are you? How are you really? Not this facade of who you are.
When you think of this season that you're in right now in your life, how would you define the season? What would the title of the season be for you?
Acceleration. Because
And how would you define that?
because if you've been, I would say, hit rock bottom, but if you've like hit the base, I mean, like, there's nothing else, right? There's
Yeah.
nothing else down there, for you to go. And that's the whole thing. Like, I was, in kind of like thinking about this whole interview. I was like, it's octopus, 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 because octopuses have to dig really deep in the ocean. And I think that's how they can still move, is because they dig deep. I'm more of a person who always self-assesses, right? How can I do that better? Could I handle that better in any situation, even with my kids? Huh, what was she really trying to say? Telling me about her million friend problems. What does this person really want? So
You know, as a mother, as a professional, just in general as a person, you've experienced a lot of life.
mhm.
Um, what would you say is the most powerful lesson that life has taught you thus far?
um stay in your own lane. Like, I drink my water and mind my business, you know. So I can't, the reason why I say that is because, and I tell people, like, I never wanted to open a restaurant.
Wow, really? Talk to me about that more.
When a business accelerates and you have a vision for your life first, business is secondary, right? So if it doesn't fit into that and you fall, or you get out of your lane and you go in somewhere else, you're only going to be so happy. So, and you have to do what's best for you.
Mhm.
And getting out of that and trying to do what's best for other people never benefits you.
No, that's definitely perspective for sure. When I think about the things that have not benefited me,
Mhm.
um, probably temporarily, but not in the long term, is the many masks that we have to wear to
Mhm.
become the person that we often become in the process. I'd be interested to know, what is a mask that you've had to wear um, that has helped you get to where you are today?
That's a great question. I would, and see, that's the whole thing. That's me not wearing a mask. That's got me to where I'm at right now, because it's hard to keep up. It's so hard. So because I had so much going on, the last thing I need to be was inauthentic. The last thing I needed to do was, feel like I'm okay when I'm not. So just not wearing a mask was the best thing that I could do. Say,
Now,
look, you know what? Hey, I'm not feeling it today. Figure it
well,
out.
I'd be interested because I know a lot of your professional background and the things and the hurdles and the roller coaster that you've been on through this journey. Um, but I'm interested in knowing if other people's opinions didn't matter, would you still be doing all of the things that you're currently doing now?
Mm, I would say I'll be doing more.
And what would more look like?
More would be along the path that I'm on right now, doing more things that bring me joy, and that's helping, the community. To be honest, like, while my workers was in the restaurant cooking and, like serving customers, I was outside serving the homeless. I was taking them food. People getting out of prison, I'm taking them food. I'm talking to, like my neighbors. I call them my neighbors, because and the funny thing is, like, they will always come by and check on me, right? They were like, don't mess with her. She's good. And so just that brought me joy, that brought me the most joy, I would say.
I'm interested, and this is a completely different type of question. As somebody who is, I would see you as a chef and somebody who's opened and run a restaurant. What is your favorite meal to either prepare or have prepared for you?
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't have a favorite meal, to be completely honest. Because I eat what I want and I make what I want. So if I have a taste for it, then that's the meal of the day.
So, when you think about, and the reason that I asked that is really for this question. If life was full of ingredients and a specific recipe that you would have to create for other people, what do you believe is the most important ingredient for life itself?
You taking care of yourself, and that's the most important ingredient, is checking on yourself, caring for yourself first. You're the first partaker. Just like, everybody uses the analogy of the airplane. You have to give yourself oxygen first, before you give it to your baby or any other passenger. So that would be the ingredient, is take care of yourself.
It's interesting because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, business professionals, just people in general, don't. We hear it a lot in regards to, where the priority, take care of yourself, self-awareness, emotional intelligence, all of these different things. Why do you feel like it's so difficult, just for people in general, to put themselves first and understand the power of who they are as an individual?
Because you carry the burdens of the world. Other people put their issues on top of you, so you're constantly carrying it on your shoulders. You don't, especially if you're not a selfish person. It's hard to tell somebody no. It's hard to not be that anchor for other people.
Hmm.
But you have to anchor yourself.
Have you experienced that, being the anchor for other people?
Absolutely, to this day.
How have you battled with that, and what would be your advice for someone else that's
No,
dealing with that right now?
no, no, no. No is a sentence. It's complete. It's no.
Hmm.
I don't have to explain myself, because a lot of times when you try to explain yourself, you're explaining yourself into doing something that you don't want to do. And
Yeah.
it's just no.
When you talk about completion, when do you feel most complete? What activities are you doing? What are you working on?
I am working on just being more conscious. It's a lot of meditation. It's, throughout the day, I'm being more conscious. I'm checking in on myself. How are you? What are you doing today? What have you done? Just constantly assessing, myself. So that's what I would say.
So one activity that we have every guest do, and I'm interested to see how you do in this. So every episode, we want our guests to be able to tell a story, because I believe that in life we often wear these professional titles and these masks and all of this seriousness, but sometimes we got to have fun just like children do. So I'm
Mhm.
going to give you 3 words, and with those 3 words, I want you to tell a story. So it's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a complete story. It can be as short or as long as you want it to be. The 3 words are going to be light bulb, cell phone, and cooking. So you got 3 words, and we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1, go.
I would say Susan was sitting in the kitchen one day and a light bulb came on. She decided to cook a meal. That wasn't it, that this is gonna go like sideways. It was light bulb. Light bulb. What was the second one?
Light bulb, cooking, and cell phone.
Yes. Okay. So let's start all over. Okay.
Got it.
So one day, Susan was in the kitchen. She had a light bulb moment. So she checked her phone to make sure that it wasn't a ringer. It wasn't. It was an actual idea. So what she did was she started to cook. She cooked from her heart. She cooked for her family, and she was happy. The end.
Okay. What inspired that story?
That's how it goes. Like you're in the middle of a thought, and your phone goes off. Right. And so
That's fair. Okay.
I this is the day. Unless you like turn it off, your phone is going to go off, right? It's going to be a notification. It's going to be a phone call. You're always kind of tapped in. So that's what I do all the time because I'm cooking all the time. So, I try to put my phone aside and put it in the other room, so that when I have an idea to cook something, instead of going to my phone, I stay on the same vein. I stay with that same, creative energy, and I just make it out of my head instead of being influenced by my phone.
I love that. I love that perspective because I think a lot of times we are in the midst of innovation. We're in the midst of creating something that's cutting edge, but we have so many distractions, whether it's our phones, televisions, people in our lives. Could you talk to us a little bit about the importance or even a system that you've put in place to eliminate distractions so that you can stay focused on the specific craft at hand?
I don't watch TV.
Everybody watches TV.
I'm not a TV person. I'm not a TV person. Like I'll sit down. I'm like, hey, I have time. I'll sit down and watch TV. Like 2 minutes in, I'm like, like there's nothing, there's nothing for me because I'm such a creative person. Like I'll play music and I'll make up a song that keeps keep my ideas flowing, keep me in a creative space. Until like I'll, go want to make something, or have an idea, it's kind of like word association. If it's lyrics or anything, it'll make me think of, a dish and I'll just kind of like create and make it. So I try to stay in that creative space so that I don't lose that.
Khalilah, what are you most proud of?
I made it. 2023. I'm proud of myself. Because like I was able to recenter. A lot of people when they get to a point and they just like drop it all, whether it be business and life, they're like, oh man, I'm gonna be down here for a minute. I was like, no, I'm good. Just next thing. Let's keep it moving. So that's what I'm proud of. My resilience to kind of keep going and continue to move.
One of the challenges that a lot of entrepreneurs, but not just any entrepreneur, specifically Black women as a whole, have this ideology and this societal pressure to be this strong Black woman. You're a mother, you're a wife, you're an entrepreneur, business owner, you have employees, all of these different things. Did you feel that pressure from all of these different hats that you've worn? How did you deal with the pressure, and what would be your advice to another Black woman that's an entrepreneur and trying to build like you?
Don't be a strong Black woman. I'm not a strong Black woman. I'm sorry. I don't. Nope. I need help. Thank you. Thank you. And that's, what? That's one thing that's helped me because I don't try to do it. I mean, I can be, and this is funny. So we would have a can and say there was not a male on staff, right? I would ask one of my customers, can you open this can? Can you open this jar of pickles? I cannot do it. I'm not going to try. I mean, just little stuff like that. Like I don't care. Like I need help. Thank you. Please.
When you think about something that you need help with in this season, what would that be? Something that you're comfortable with sharing, of course.
I would say accountability, because I am a creative. I have
Yeah.
50 million things going on. So I definitely need, more accountability, um, because I'll try to do multiple things at once when you just probably should do like one or two things
Yeah.
and kind of keep it moving. But that's my whole thing is accountability, because I'll work 50 projects and then like do a piece of one and then a piece of one and then,
I know out of all of the things that you do, you're a mother first, of
Mhm.
course, just like any parent. If today was your last day and you only had 60 seconds left to give them a message, what would you say?
Mm. Don't let anyone talk you out of being who you know you are. That would be it.
Expound on that a little bit more.
Um, because up until this point, if if you don't know what that means, then I've done a horrible job, right? Because you're supposed to be constantly teaching. I'm constantly teaching my 5 year old. I'm constantly teaching my 14-year old. Like every day is a lesson. Every day you're supposed to learn something, right? And so if I teach them every single day, hey, you were created to be, amazing, right? And you know what that is because you tapped into it, right? Um, there's no, I mean, I'm not going to give them a whole speech at the end of the day, because you should know, and that's connection. That's me being present, a present parent. That's me being, intentional, me knowing who they are. So I can say that.
What is one thing that you wish the world knew about you that you find yourself often hiding?
Nothing. And I'm only saying that because I actually don't want the world to know about me.
I can tell.
Secret billionaire, to be honest, like I just want to just live in the woods somewhere and, kumbaya and that kind of thing. I only, did this for the podcast, but yeah, I don't want the world to know who I am, because I know who I am, and the people that I surround myself with know who I am. So that's good enough for me.
Take me back to the Khalilah that was wanting to be an entrepreneur, that was potentially coming up with an idea but didn't know where to start or what to begin with. What would be your advice to that young woman?
I would say trust yourself, because if you're given the idea, you're given the plan. You just have to, trust that you know what you're doing. And two, like if you what you don't know, you learn. I mean, there's no reason why you can't learn what you need to know. This is the information age. I mean, you can type in chat GPT at this point and like ask them anything, so information is so readily available, so there are no excuses.
I remember us having a conversation, and hopefully you're okay with me sharing this on air, about your son and his gift, uh,
Mhm.
especially in technology. You know, with where the world is going, I'd be interested to know your advice to a parent, um, on the importance of exposing your children to opportunities that may be different than your background, but opportunities that can truly push them forward towards being something successful.
Absolutely. You have to watch them. You have to let them be, right? A lot of times, kids don't do what they're passionate about until they like go through medical school and they're 30 and they're like, now I want to paint. Well, you were painting when you were 2. You were painting when you were 3. What the parents should do is say, hey, you're gifted, or I see you, and here's some art classes. You have to watch your kids. Like you can just my son loves technology. So why wouldn't he like duplicate a system in school that he's not supposed to? That's just the way it goes.
Mhm.
Like you have to watch them and you have to expose them to different things. You don't have to know everything. You just have to be willing to get behind them. Like I could tell my mom right now that I want to do underwater basket weaving, and she'll be like, "Go for it." That's one thing that I love about my mom is that she supported me in anything, whatever I wanted to do, she's there. And that allowed me to be who I am, to become. She didn't say, go to school to be a lawyer, go to school to be a doctor. She gave me that freedom and flexibility to be who I was, created to be.
Of course. I think that life is all about decisions.
Hmm.
Obviously the relationships that we have are breadcrumbs to our destiny, but the decisions that we make set the foundation to our success. When you think about a decision that you've made, what's one decision that you wish you made sooner?
Entrepreneurship, like going head into entrepreneurship, right? The reason why is because when I was in school, I was the kid that was selling candy in middle school. I was coming up with, money making ideas. Like I've always been that person. Um, so I would say I would have done that sooner instead of saying, listening to that, oh, you're smart, you got into all these schools. So, hey, this is what, people do. And that wasn't my passion
Mm.
because I went there just to do what I'm doing right now.
With any decision, though, there's sacrifices that have to be made. Um, what is the greatest sacrifice that you've made to be able to become the woman, the mother, and the entrepreneur that you are today?
I would say sitting at home and not doing anything, right? Because I was a stay-at-home mom, for like over a decade. And so just me knowing that I wanted to, always be an entrepreneur, that's that sitting stage was the hardest. But I will always like go into like random businesses and say, okay, this is what you need to do. I can help you. I'm at home. Call me anytime. Kind of situation. So you always have to, and I was always learning in that time. So just because you're sitting doesn't mean that's not a negative. It just means that that's a holding and a waiting period. Because sometimes you need to be, downloaded information.
Of course.
And so that's what I would
And
say.
I love that. I think that a lot of people don't know how to get comfortable in that holding period. And they
Hmm.
feel like they just got to keep going and going and creating and creating. But if you just sit and be patient and listen and minimize the noise for a period of time, you'll be able to come up with something or have something downloaded to you that's truly transformational.
Hmm.
So, in your life, and I recognize what you said earlier in regards to the people know you, the people that know you, and it's not your job to really tell the world. But I am interested in knowing what parts of your story do you wish that you shared more often?
Probably none, though. I'm such a private person, and I feel like I probably shouldn't share anything. Um,
Where does that come from?
Everybody overshares. That's a piece of me. I feel like the whole world is wants to share, right? Um, Especially social media. We have TikTok, Instagram, everybody's sharing. Like at this point, like if you go online, somebody's married or somebody has a kid and you don't see them in pictures anymore, you're like, where are they? You're investing in these people's lives, for no reason. And I think that just adds additional baggage to your own self because you're concerned about other people's lives and you should be, more focused on yours. So I would say, no, like sharing when I interact, I don't meet strangers. So I share personal one-on-one with people all the time. It's just as far as like the whole world is concerned. Hmm, that's something that I'm working on. What do I need to share? Like, is it going to add value? Is it going to help people? If it's going to help people, then absolutely I'll do it. I just don't want to get wrapped into that always having to share. Some things you have to keep to yourself for
I
yourself.
definitely agree with that. I definitely agree. It reminds me of a story. I heard it years ago by Pastor Furtick, Stephen Furtick at Elevation Church. He was telling a story about a time where Bill Clinton was working with an audio engineer, and they were going through one of his books and trying to figure out what was staying in the book for the audio version and what was being removed from the book because it would have been too long. And obviously, they got to the part of the scandal, and Bill Clinton looked at the audio engineer. He said, "Is this significant?" And the audio engineer looked back. He said, "Yes, Mr. President, this is significant." And the message was understanding that what you believe to not be significant is truly what's going to unlock somebody else's testimony. And I believe that our stories are the gateways for someone else to be transformed through our experiences. Now, there's a balance between different stories that you share and the timing and, I believe how it would make you look and all of those different things. And I think there's still some class in sharing stories, because I think some people just want the opportunity to share a memoir where they could have shared that with a therapist rather than being transformational in what they're communicating. And I'm interested in something that either happened to you or something that you've done that you weren't proud of, that you learned from, that made you into the person that you are today.
That's the story of my life. No, I'm just kidding. Well, kind of, sorta. I think when I'm meant to share, I will definitely share. I definitely will, because I think it'll help a lot of people. I also feel that it has to be, the right timing, and some people just share to share when it's not time to share. So absolutely, I'll share. Share.
I want to know that moment, Khalilah. I
Huh?
do. I want to know that moment. What is a moment in your life where you were left disappointed, you were left unproud, you were left unsupported and disappointed, but you learned from it? I want to know what happened, what you learned, and who you had to become.
When I was left unsupported, not proud, who I became. That's an interesting question. I would say, let me dig into my archives of life. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't. You know what? I would probably say, um, the day that I first had my I guess call with Donnie, and we were on like this group call, and I just like burst into tears, and I was like, "Oh yeah, my husband and I separated today." And I think the reason why I would say I was a little bit ashamed, not ashamed that I said it, because I don't hide anything, and I want to get it all out. I just think it probably wasn't the time. I should have taken like a moment and say, you know what, hey, I'm not going to make this call today. And sometimes putting energy out there, and this is not, this is nothing went wrong on the call or anything. Everybody was very, loving and supportive. But it's just sometimes you have to take a breather for yourself before you can like step outside. Um, so I think I would say that was the time, when my husband and I separated, and I was just like, I'm trying to still do things. I should have taken a breather at that moment. Um, yeah.
That resonates with me. Um, I think somebody watching right now is trying to juggle all of life's responsibilities,
Hmm.
the challenges, the obstacles, the adversities, rather than just sitting and taking time to themselves.
Hmm.
And I think the importance of that is taking time to reflect, taking time to just be. And sometimes pausing is probably the most productive thing that you can do in that moment.
Hmm.
Talk to me, Khalilah, about the importance of reflection, pausing, and taking time, and how that has enhanced your overall self awareness.
Absolutely. So I literally woke up one day last year, and 11 is my number. And so it's 11/11/22. And I was like, you know what? Today's going to be the last day that I'm going to have this restaurant open. Like, how impulsive is that? Really? Because you know what? At the end of the day, sometimes you're going to crash if you don't hit that brake,
Oh,
you know? So although it seemed impulsive, like I was impacting for a collision, because my kids have been homeschooled for 8 years. They're adjusting to a new school. Everybody's in school now. So I needed to be there for them. I needed to be there for myself. And no matter how, how impulsive it may have seemed or how, it may have looked, I needed to like stop the break. Because for me, I'll go, 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 and go. And then I never, get an opportunity to even like, put a little pressure on it to slow down. I have to immediately stop, right? That's with anything. Like if I say I'm not going to drink alcohol anymore, I'm going to go cold turkey like that minute. I'm going to stop, right? That's just how I am, with anything in life, because I know that because how I'll because I am intelligent, I'll justify a way to keep doing something that I know I don't need to do. So I have to stop, just cold turkey, like immediately.
What's next for you, Khalilah? How can people support you, continue to follow your journey, and be there once you're ready to start sharing your story?
Absolutely. So I'm going to be more diligent on my social media because I'm a ghost. And so I'm going to share more because I really believe that my story will help a lot of people, not just moms, just people in general that are going through life and not taking a moment to care for themselves. And so I definitely want to help people navigate life, so to speak, and taking those breaks that they're afraid to do because it's worth it.
I love that. Anybody listening right now, I want you to take time to pause. I want you to understand that this journey is not going to be easy, but if you continue to be intentional, have faith, trust in yourself, and stay in your own lane and trust in the vision that you were given at birth, you will make it to the other side. You're going to meet adversity, you're going to have obstacles, you're going to have hurdles. But similar to how Khalilah has hurdled over those obstacles and found herself in the midst of being more aware, being more intentional, and not feeling the need to have to share everything so that she can keep certain parts of her story private, but also purposeful, you have the opportunity to do the same thing. We are here on another episode of the Writer's Game podcast where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. And we'll see you guys next episode.